Call to order.
Thank you. All right, thanks everybody for being here. Anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting? Actually, let's do public comment first, actually, because we've got a whole bunch of extra people joining us today. So let's probably a good idea to go around and have everybody introduce themselves. I'm Cindy Plant at Rogers Park Business Alliance. I'm the program manager for Devon Avenue SSA 43.
I am Karen Forte, Department of Planning and Development, your SSA liaison to the city.
I'm Sandy Price. I'm the Executive Director of the Rogers Park Business Alliance, the sole service provider for the SSA.
I'm Deborah Silverstein, Alderman of the 50th Ward.
I'm Irshad Khan, a member of the SSA.
Pete Valavanis, SSA Commissioner.
Mohammed Junaid, SSA Commissioner.
Rebecca Vasquez, SSA Commissioner.
Mohammed Ramiz from Sign America.
Pending commissioner, because he's applied to join as a commissioner. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, is that everybody? I thought I saw some extra folks on here that I didn't recognize.
Yes, hi, I'm Ellen Doppelt. I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Neighborhood Development Council.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, I'm Kim Holmes of Life Quilt Foundation, Executive Director.
How do you spell that? Life what? Sorry.
Quilt, Q-U-I-L-T Foundation.
Right. Thanks for joining us. Cassandra?
Good afternoon. My name is Cassandra Kachaha. I'm a member of the Westridge Community Response Team.
And is it Nita or Nida?
Nida. My name is Nida. I am a community organizer with the Indo-American Center.
Thanks for joining us. Joy? Joy, you're muted.
I know. Give me a second to unmute. Okay. My name is Joy Coombs, and I work with Isles and Associates, and we performed the 2020 audit of SSA 43.
I'm Hallie Quesada. I'm with Westridge Community Response Team.
All right. Is that everybody? No, Scott, we haven't heard from.
Hey, Scott Parrish from Illuminate Lighting. I'm your holiday lighting and other crazy lighting and other decor provider. Hey, Joy, it's Scott. How you doing? He's also my accountant.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. I'm Alex Gonzalez from the Westridge Community Response Team as well.
All right. I see Michelle on here. I think you're maybe the only one that we haven't heard from yet.
Oops. Hi, I'm Michelle Drucker. I'm also from the Westridge Community Response Team.
All right. I think that's everybody. Full house today. Does anybody have anything for public comment? I'm assuming yes, because we have a lot of extra people here. So who wants to go first?
Hi again, it's Cassandra. I'd love to go first if I can.
Sure.
Again, my name is Cassandra Kachaha. I'm a member of the Westridge Community Response Team, the president of the Building Boon Committee, and I'm your neighbor. I'm here today because our neighbors are suffering. Our small businesses have survived a year of pandemic and are still dealing with decreased and variable patronage. Our families have survived a year of pandemic-induced food and housing insecurity and the loss of in-person schooling, the traditional center of community supports for many. In response to the needs in our communities, neighbors like myself and others who've joined have come together to stitch together supports to help our neighbors. We formed a team of dozens who fundraise, take calls on our hotline, coordinate additional volunteers, and use our homes and our free time to help our neighbors. We do this work because we want to live in a community where everyone thrives. We do this work because who would want to live in a community where we see suffering and don't do everything we can to reduce it? That's why a team of us are here today. We are asking you, policymakers and commissioners, to join us in doing what we can to help our community thrive. If supporting these efforts is political, then so too is choosing to do nothing. We can be a model that other communities emulate, or we can do nothing and watch our neighbors suffer. I know you commissioners do this work because you also want to do everything possible to see our community thrive. And I know that you want our business district to be a model for other communities to emulate. Members of the Westridge Community Response Team are here today asking the SSA to purchase $30,000 worth of goods to stock our newly established community fridge and pantry with necessary dry items and fresh foods. All items in the pantry are free and available to anyone who needs them. In addition to food, we've seen need for clothing, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, toiletries, and household items like pots and pans and silverware. These are things that are requested frequently via our hotline and which can be sourced from businesses along the Devon corridor. We've got a proposal to use $10,000 for food staples, $15,000 for prepared restaurant foods, $3,000 for toiletries and cleaning supplies like laundry detergent and toothpaste, $1,250 for clothing, and $1,250 for household supplies like blankets and dishes. We're hoping that you all will brainstorm with us how best to creatively use our tax dollars to support both our local businesses and the families in our community, all of whom will continue to be the lifeblood that helps our whole community thrive long after this pandemic is over. We understand that our grocery stores have not felt the same economic impact as our restaurants. That's why we're proposing, purchasing surplus prepared food from local restaurants as they adjust to variable patronage during Chicago's phased reopening. We propose working with a network of churches, temples, and mosques in the districts to help distribute any surplus food that exceeds the community pantry and fridge's capacity. We're open to suggestions from all of you for how best to support a wide variety of businesses along Devon while also meeting the needs of families in our community who are struggling. Thank you for considering our proposal, and thank you for focusing on how we work together to create a thriving community. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our next speaker, Alex. She's going to tell you more about our group and how we're working together to stitch resources across the community to make sure that both individuals and businesses in Westridge thrive. Thank you.
Up the screen. Hi, guys. Again, my name is Alex. I'm with the Westridge Community Response Team. Our community has been hit especially hard during the COVID pandemic. We experienced higher rates of COVID cases than the citywide averages, highlighting the inequities and the existence of along racial and ethnic lines. In April 2020, Westridge had the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases of any neighborhood in the city. And Alderman Silverstein called on our community to view this as a call to action. And the Westridge Community Response Team has been there from the very beginning, focused on taking action and coming together to support our community in the time of crisis. We are neighbors helping neighbors. Over the past year, we made a significant impact by providing essential support and establishing relationships within our community. Our hotline serves neighbors in 7 different languages, and we have collected and redistributed items and donations totaling over $45,000 in the form of groceries, formula, diapers, coats, boots, school supplies, utility payments, and so much more. This includes helping over 1,600 neighbors with food assistance, many of whom have food restrictions not easily serviced by our local food pantries, distributing over 10,000 worth of formula to our local families in need, and providing 104 families with cleaning and hygiene supplies. All of this could not have been accomplished without our more than 100 community volunteers, especially those in our steering committee. We work tirelessly, and we are constantly looking for ways we can improve and expand these essential services within our community. Our first large fundraiser raised $5,000 to support small businesses in our community. Westridge Community Response Team distributed this to 10 local establishments in the form of $500 checks. The project we are proposing today is community-based and in line with the work we have been doing, and we have been doing it well. supporting Westridge community people in their work. What's more, we aren't doing this work alone. Not only do we have the full partnership of the Indo-American Center, but the citywide connection with a couple dozen other free community refrigerators, which will generate additional public support and attention to our area. Thank you guys so much for having us here today. And I'd like to turn this over to Holly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my name is Hallie Quesada. I'm a mother and a teacher here in Westridge. I also founded the Westridge Community Response Team. Look, so I know in the past there have been reservations about using our tax dollars on applications that I have been a part of. I do feel compelled today to make clear the history so that politics will not get in the way of a decision that will have such a positive impact on the district. The Westridge Community Response Team invited Alderman Silverstein to join us in this work from the very beginning. Every week for months, we sent her meeting reminders and our weekly minutes that were all ignored. And once she even sent us a loosely veiled threat to fine us for hanging flyers with the hotline information in public spaces. Meanwhile, we were able to successfully work with several other elected officials and neighborhood organizations. On October 1st, 2020, this SSA was reminded that they had a customer attraction budget of $108,000, but had only spent $38,000, with a special note that there's a 30% cap on carryover for annual budgets. The following month, a proposal was made to help with the diaper drive held at the Sri Ganesh Temple in partnership with the Westridge Community Response Team. Alderman Silverstein spoke against supporting this effort because, as quoted in the minutes, she doesn't want the SSA to get political, as I had founded the Westridge Community Response Team and previously ran against her for Democratic committee person in the ward, though she remains inactive in the role. Ultimately, there was no real discourse on creative ways to use excessive funds that needed to be spent down before the end of the year to both increase customer attraction to the Devon Special Services area and help those in need. A month after a need for diapers was brought to the SSA, 3 SSA commissioners donated a total of $2,000 to Alderman Silverstein's campaign account. We reject her comment that she doesn't want the work of the SSA to get political, as she markets their efforts as coming from her office, blocks aids to neighbors because a challenger is involved in the aid, and calls up commissioners for campaign contributions. What she wants is our tax dollars to work for her political aspirations and not for our people. And what we ask today—
Hey, can I stop this? This is not an agenda, a political agenda, please. We're not trying to make this about this. We're a nonprofit organization. We don't want to discuss this in this meeting, please.
You know, the Open Meetings Act requires you to take public comments.
We are taking public comments, but this is becoming a political agenda, and we're not here for that.
You cannot shut down public comment.
Yeah, and I'm responding to what was in the minutes, actually. So all the information I'm sharing, I garnered from the minutes of this SSA. And I'm asking today that you choose not to be complicit in that abuse of power. We're requesting that the SSA make the choice to support our local businesses as they adjust to variable patronage while Chicago reopens after the pandemic by purchasing their surplus to stock our newly launched free community refrigerator at the Indo-American Center, which will ultimately help support the vitality of our entire district. We believe in imagination and innovation, and we believe that the Devon SSA is uniquely positioned to do something really meaningful right now. And with that, I'll pass it over to Nida.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time and welcoming me to the space. My name is Nida Hassan. I'm a community organizer working with the Indo-American Center since October 2019. We serve the 50th Ward in the greater Chicago area. When we were founded in the early 90s, our initial intention was to serve the South Asian community. However, we found ourselves serving a diverse clientele that has similar needs. We currently serve communities over 30 countries, supporting them with public benefits, citizenship classes, immigration, ESL classes, and community programming. Here are some of the ways we have provided COVID-19 relief in 2020. IAC has distributed $375,000 in rental assistance to families impacted by the pandemic. Indo-American Center has distributed 9,000 pieces of PPE within the community, which we believe to be pivotal in mitigating the COVID-19 spread in this community. I recall last year, the city of Chicago and Alderman Silverstein had contacted us in the beginning of the pandemic to translate COVID-19 information into various South Asian languages. while Alderman Silverstein recognized the need to address language access, did not have the structure nor follow through after that initial contact. And I'm just stating the facts here. I myself initiated this project and created a COVID-19 booklet outlining COVID-19 health information, a resource sheet to find critical resources, census information, COVID-19 scams, and stimulus check information. With this work, my team consisted of 10 translators, 10 translators and a graphic designer. We produced these booklets in Urdu, Hindi, Bangla, and English. We distributed 5,000 pieces of these booklets in the community along various businesses, providing critical language access in a global pandemic. Indo-American Center is excited to collaborate with the Westridge Community Response Team to address food insecurity. As part of addressing food insecurity, we currently deliver daily hot meals to low-income senior citizens through our Golden Diners program funded by the City of Chicago. In 2020 alone, we have provided over 19,000 hot meals to seniors. However, we feel the need to expand to address food insecurity for South Asians. A public health scholar by the name of Valencia Chaudhry stated in her study, Health Disparities Among South Asians is Food Insecurity a Missing Link? Food insecurity among South Asians in the US is a public health issue. Food insecure adults face a plethora of adverse outcomes, and the research shows that individuals with ancestral origins of South Asia have a higher susceptibility rate for cardiovascular disease after mitigating to urban environments. This pandemic impacts all of us, but the brunt of this falls on low-income immigrant communities of color. By not providing support to this project to address the resource disparities in the 50th Ward, I believe that you are yielding to the injustices that impact the communities in the 50th Ward and are complicit in further exacerbating a public health crisis. Thank you for your time. With that, I will pass it to Kim.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to share why the residents of Westridge need you to join them in the opportunity to reimagine community building with equity as a guiding principle. As a reminder, I am Kim Holmes, founder and executive director of Life Quilt Foundation, a Chicago-based nonprofit focused on breaking barriers to educational success by providing students basic needs. There is really nothing more basic than food, shelter, clothing. Our partnership with the Westridge Community Response Team has served as a force multiplier, leveraging the capabilities and capacity of Life Quilt to connect Westridge to thousands of pounds of food, infant formula, school supplies, and remote learning desks for hundreds of neighborhood children, as well as donations to area restaurants. It has been inspirational to be part of the effort to weave together a tapestry of care that routinely pulls in support from neighbors, local businesses, the faith community, and nonprofits, all committed to ensuring that everyone has a chance to survive the pandemic with dignity. The SSA, we need you to be part of the tapestry. We've all heard that where there's a will, there's a way. The Westridge Community Response Center has found the way. Can they count on your will? We look forward to seeing the discussion in the next set of minutes that are published. Thank you.
Is that everybody for public comment? Is there anyone else that we've missed? Thank you everybody for coming out. I will say, you know, we as an organization are subject to the requirements of Open Meetings Act, and under those rules, we are not able to take action on any funding requests that are not included on the published agenda. But if you want that to be something that, you know, it gets added to the May meeting, we would request that you send us a written proposal, written application for funding. That way we can put it on the agenda for discussion at a future meeting.
Could I ask, does that always happen? Because we know I went through the minutes and it looked like the $30,000 that was approved for the first responders was just brought up in the beginning of the meeting and then later approved. So is there always I mean, we have this written, obviously we can send you the document that we spoke from today, but just wondering if that's, procedural. I also didn't see anything about that on the website.
If I don't have it in front of me, but as I recall, I think there was an agenda item for pandemic response and assistance. When that was done in, I think it was the March or April meeting of 20. But in either case, we would need to have something in writing as a written proposal.
Great. And then would we be able to see too, like, sorry, maybe you could drop in the chat where exactly you would like that proposal sent. And then also if you could send the other, because we took that $30,000 number as a reasonable ask, considering that it was approved before for something similar. So if we could see the other proposal too, as we get that sent over to you.
I'm on a different computer, so I am finding where the chat box is.
And while you're doing that, can I just ask a question? Hallie, can you tell me, is it included in your proposal where you're going to be purchasing items from?
Yeah, so that's something we are hoping to work together with the Devon SSA. I know it's important to you guys to be equitable in how you support different businesses and that you have relationships and targeted areas. So we're completely flexible to work for something that's mutually supportive.
So it really has nothing to do with the relationships. So the $30,000 that you're referencing that we approved was all spent within the SSA, which is our goal. So if you can.
Oh, right, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's what we're proposing as well. It would all be spent.
Nobody mentioned that. So I just want to make sure that that's part of your proposal.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Yes, purchased within the district. And then also the community fridge is also in the district.
Thank you.
Cool. Do you have a location for that?
It's right outside the Indo-American Center. And then it's also part of a network of love fridges that are across the city, and it's going on the citywide map. So we're also hoping it can bring more people up to our area. It'll at least bring volunteers from across the city who'll be helping to fill it.
Any other questions from commissioners or anybody?
Nope. Can we move to the next item?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
It looks like the next item is approval of draft minutes from the March meeting. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I
Approve.
motion to approve also.
All right, I have Pete moving approval and Maura seconding. Did we actually vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Thanks. All right, first up under new business, we've got the 2020 annual audit review and approval. So I will kick it over to Sandy and Joy to walk us through that. And if I can stop screen sharing the agenda, if you guys need to screen share the report.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Since we got Scott sitting here waiting around, going through this whole thing, maybe we should just talk about the replacement lights now and then come back to that, just so Scott can.
Okay, I don't want to mess anything up.
Scott, do you mind if we do the audit first? Joy is also working on our next audit.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. We have multiple people here. Right.
Make Scott wait. I don't care. No.
That's the Joy I know and love. Thank you.
I apologize, Joy. I'm sorry.
No. I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to let Scott.
No, go ahead, Joy. So. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I will share my screen. Here we go. Can everybody see that? Can I see that? That's a bigger question. Everybody can see that? Shake your head.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're good.
Okay. Now I just gotta get rid of us. Okay. No, this other stuff. Okay, there's a ton of stuff on the screen now. Okay, so our firm, Isles and Associates, was hired to perform the 2020 audit on SSA 43. And so we did. And I wanted to thank Sandy and Cindy for helping me all through my craziness as I was beating a dead horse with some things, but we got through them. So everything was really good. One thing is, I must say, yes, they are extremely organized, and everything I asked for, even on the weekends, they were chiming in and providing documents. So it definitely makes everything go smoothly. Thank you. So what we're just going to go through real quickly are all the pages. I'll try to be concise. The first page here is just required by the City of Chicago. It's just a summary telling you where to find what. Continue forward, just cover page, table of contents. And then this is our audit opinion. So our audit opinion is unqualified, which is it's not modified, meaning that we did not find anything that would mislead the user of these financials. So that's good. That's all that says on those 2 pages. And then we flow to the first statement is a statement of net position and government fund balance sheets, which is basically your balance sheet. The primary numbers you would look at is at the end of 2020, there was $380,000 in the SSA account, plus $6,900 of prepaid expenses, less $12,000 of liabilities, ending the year with approximate carryover of $374,000. So then we rolling to the next page, which is more or less your revenue and expenditures. In 2020, $544,000 was received from Cook County or the City of Chicago, and $366,000 was expended. Actually, $431,000 was expended, increasing the carryover or the net reserves by $113,000, resulting in the end of year net reserves carryover of $374,000. We continue rolling, then we start into the audit notes. The first couple of pages are pretty boilerplate. They talk about the basis of accounting that these financials are presented. It's basically like a hybrid. It's a hybrid between governmental and generally accepted. And then as we continue rolling, we just start talking about the items on the statements, the cash, the receivables being the property tax levy for 2020, which is received in 2021. It goes on to talk about that we've examined every subsequent event up through today, how the property taxes are levied, that there was a TIF rebate that was received during 2020 of $27,000. Continue forward here, just talks about note 8, just talks about the fund balance of the reserves. Note 9 talks about the related party that Rogers Park Business Alliance and SSA 42 or 43 are related parties. And it discloses here, it doesn't disclose, it discloses here any related party transactions. You'll see there are minimal amounts between the SSAs and Rogers Park Business Alliance. The last note is just related to COVID, and that, you know, operations and financial results may be impacted by COVID-19, including potential reductions in the collection of property tax levies. We continue on. The supplemental information required by the City of Chicago is the schedule of revenue and expenditures, budget versus actual. In 2020, SSA 43 was budgeted to receive $603,000. They received $544,000. They were budgeted to spend $732,000 and they spent $431,000. You can see that's why they increased their reserve by $113,000. They were required by the City of Chicago to show comparative. This is 2019 for comparative purposes. And then these are the findings, summary of findings that are in compliance with the financial guide. that's prepared by the City of Chicago Department of Planning. The current findings are that there is no formal invoice that's submitted from the sole service provider, Rogers Park Business Alliance, to the SSA, and that the carryover amounts are in excess of 25% of the 2020 budget. Management's response to those findings were that they'll pay closer attention to those monthly statements in compliance with the budget, and that they'll develop a plan to expend the excess carryover in the future years. The next piece is just the prior year findings and update. And then we're required to present our license, as well as the revised budget that was submitted in this audit. So that is the wrap up of the 2020 audit of SSA 43. So yeah, I'll be around, and Sandy and Cindy know how to reach me if you have any questions. Other than that, you can just carry on.
We need to vote to approve this today. So if anybody has any questions while Joy's here.
I'm good.
Is that a motion, Pete?
You always do that to me. Yes, sure. That's a motion. Let's do it. Any seconds out?
Yes, I'll do the second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, why is this last minute again, Sandy? Aren't we supposed to get this beforehand to review?
That's basically my fault. You have time. It's not due to the City of Chicago until May 3rd. So usually what I do
We
is
don't have a meeting before that, but in the future, guys, we need at least a week or so to look over the numbers and go over stuff. With budgets especially, we're signing off on this. We don't want to be off on something.
all of this stuff you guys should have been aware of over the last 4 months. These are 2020 numbers, and these are 2020 budgets. So all of this stuff should have been presented to you in prior commission meetings.
Right, Irshad, the only thing here is that we're being audited to determine whether or not the SSA is in compliance. And basically we are in compliance. All the financial information that's in here is financial information that you have already received previously. So they're auditing 2020, right? To make sure.
I understand. I just, with numbers and budgets, it'd be nice to go over it before.
Yeah, none of the numbers are new. Nothing's been changed. This is the 2020 budget, what we spent that you saw, previously.
It's just a requirement by the city that it's presented to you. I think they just don't want it to get lost, like if it's in an email or posted on the website. They just want to make sure that it's front and center in front of the commissioners. And like I said, you still have time until May 3rd, and as well as I'm sure if we needed additional time, I'm sure the city will be open to extensions, especially in hindsight of COVID.
Given that you all are generally prepared all the time, Sandy and Cindy have been doing an exemplary job. You have to excuse my phone.
No, I was just saying if for some reason the commissioners needed more than, the next two weeks ish, we would probably still submit it. And if they needed to make a change after the fact, then that's something else. But I don't foresee anything. The numbers, there weren't any adjustments. So, the numbers haven't changed in the last 4 months.
Okay, I just don't want you all to encourage tardy or extended.
I only encourage it because I don't want the commissioners to feel rushed. So I prefer them to have some additional time if they need additional time.
All right, but that's not policy, but we'll let you all move along with your meeting. So.
Well, right now there's a motion and a second, so we need to vote on it.
I vote aye. In favor. That's Pete talking, by the way.
Is there any opposed? Maybe is the question.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, hey, Joy, can you stop screen sharing so we could see everybody,
Oh,
please?
yes, absolutely.
Thank you. That would make it a lot easier. Thank you.
Sure.
All right,
It's
Urshad,
Urshad. I prefer to abstain.
any other no's? Okay.
All right, so we have four. How many in favor? 1, 2. Raise your hand, commissioners, if you're in favor, so that I can count for the
We don't have
minutes.
Sanhita or Maura on. Oh, there's Maura. She's raising her hand. And Sanhita seconded, so we assume she's a yes. Okay.
All right, so I have Pete, Sanita, and Maura voting in favor.
Janae?
Janae?
Rebecca.
Rebecca's in favor?
Rebecca's in favor.
Janae, are you in
Correct.
favor? Yes. Thumbs up from Janae.
Thumbs up from Janae.
Okay. Mhm.
All right, so with 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's approved then. All right.
Thank you,
Moving
Joy.
on. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And I can move this on. Hang on just a second. So the next item is actually going to be 2021 quarterly report for Q1. This is another requirement of the city that we get commissioner approval now for our quarterly reports under the SSA budget and work plan. So I was working on it this morning. And this includes the financial, some financial reporting from our regular CPA. So not Joy, but our regular guy, Ron, that does the monthly bookkeeping. Let me get that up. I'll screen share it in a second. But this just basically includes the rundown of what's been spent in each budget category for the month or for the quarter. And I think I can screen share that in a second. This should be 43. So here is the SSA 43 Q1 expenses. So for customer attraction, we spent $4,700 primarily on our social media and website. That's under sort of our budget and goes with our existing contracts. Public way aesthetics. The big thing here that's going to blow people's mind is our snow budget. We got hit with blizzard surcharge fees from our contractor Tovar. So that was our biggest line item in terms of spending for Q1 at $107,000 for sidewalk snow removal because we had 8 storms where they came out and they charged based on the amount of snowfall for each time. So that's.
They didn't even do it half the time.
I know.
Those guys were terrible. What are we paying for? Man, that's
yeah, frustrating. We'll go down. Sustainability in public places, garbage material removal. That's just maintenance of our dumpster that the guys use when emptying the trash cans. And then the rest of it, I don't think we really had anything. We didn't do anything with safety programs. And then SSA management is just the basic admin stuff. So, so again, sort of another formality we've got to approve for submission to the city by end of the month. Any questions on quarterly reports?
not for me.
Anybody want to make a motion?
What are we motioning on? Approval of this report?
Yes.
Guess it's on me
And
again.
what was,
I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Pete. Anyone want a second?
what was the total spent, Cindy?
So the total, I think it comes up at the bottom if it feeds in. So the overall total, I guess it doesn't total up the whole I thought it did. It breaks it out by category. So we've got, or actually I can probably toggle back to the report from Ron, but it's a bit harder to read. Basically, we're under budget on all of the major categories except public way aesthetics because of the snow expense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have it totaled up. I thought Excel was going to do the math for me.
But these are dollars that have already been spent, right?
Right. These are bills that were paid during Q1.
So by agreeing to the motion to approve, we're just saying, yes, we know that this was done?
Right, similar to when, you know, in the past years where we've had the financial spreadsheet from Ron. This is just basically a quarterly version of that.
I second the approval, the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is their shot. Aye.
Sanita, aye.
All right, I think I've got 4. Janae, did you vote? Are you still here? Is that a yes? I see you. All right, thanks.
Do you want to stop screen sharing, Cindy?
Yes. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in favor of approval of the quarterly report, correct? All right. Agendas. Let me get that back up. I think the next thing will be lights. Since Scott's here, we don't want to keep him that much more than he already needs to be here. So Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for your patience.
No worries.
So yeah, replacement of the pole lighting. If you want to walk us through that.
Sure. Okay, everybody. Thanks again for having me over here at this lovely meeting. So basically what we're going to do is we did a test, we checked all the materials and pretty much everything shot. It's to be expected. That's just the natural life force or lifetime of these products. So we're going to be looking at taking down everything that's there and putting up a brand new system. Very, very, very similar to the one that's there now. We're looking at getting about 100. There's 104 posts from I believe it's Kedzie all the way to Levitt. I think is the east boundary, right there where the second. Yeah, correct. Okay. And and it also includes getting 20 additional backup pole systems. So if for whatever reason, you know, vandalism or some freak weather thing or whatever, or a circuit pops, whatever, we'll have backup systems in place to repair 20 poles. This will ensure that, you know, hopefully that the lights will continue running in a good working order and provide everything that is needed to make it function like how it should. So, you know, let me pull up my numbers real quick. Basically, I have 2 numbers for you guys. One of the numbers is including tariffs and one of them is not. So I don't know yet how they're going to, customs that is, I don't know how customs is going to mark these products. They could either say, oh yeah, it's just 2.9%, or 3.9%, the standard duty, or they could say, yeah, it's the Trump tariff charge, and we're going to charge you 29%, 30%. So the two prices that I have in order to take everything down and install new material, the total with tariffs is 45,000, and the total without tariffs is 41,000. So you know, that's that. I don't know if you guys want to have any questions or anything like that, but let me know.
Sorry, Scott, I missed it, but what's the, sorry, life expectancy of these lights?
3 years, probably 3 to 5, depends. It's not much more. You can't really get more, unfortunately, from China these days.
How long were the last ones up?
About 3 years.
3 years, and of those 3 years, I mean, this last year, so many of them were already out.
Yeah, I don't even know necessarily that I would call. I don't have the exact day we installed these, the original first time. I think it was 2000. It was early May of 2018. No,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either. So 18 and 19, 19 to 20, 20 to 21. Yeah, I don't know. It was either 17 or 18. I have to look at my numbers.
There were issues right from the get-go.
I don't know. I mean, I think there were some issues with the pole power that Horizon fixed most of that, I believe. But yeah.
We might have to go back into our minutes to figure out when we started noticing issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I think most of this was before my time too.
Yeah, I think they did go up in 2018. I think Scott is right. And I think they were amazingly wonderful, right, for the first couple weeks. I agree with Pete that we did have issues with them. I mean, and I know Scott came out and fixed them, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I think the tornado just blew everything out of the water, which is what, you know, we blew the electricity. The electricity blew. We didn't blow the electricity. The electricity blew. And I think any lights that were still good went at that point. So, I mean, there's still some out there, but I don't think any of them are going to.
Yeah, it's very few. There's very few.
Very spotty.
Yeah.
I just remember it was even from early on. I mean, it was good for a little bit, and then I don't remember how long, but maybe we had a decent season. But it was spotty right from early on. And I mean, they looked nice when they were off firing, but then some of them would fire, some of them wouldn't. Some of them were stuck in a loop. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. It's something I'd like to discuss further if we're going to do this again.
This was also, Pete, if you remember when we did this, it was a huge deal because nobody did anything like what we had done on Devon Avenue. And
I liked it from the beginning. I did. Yeah, I thought it was a nice idea. It was really brightened things up and it was very attractive.
Just to let you know, it'll probably take, like right now, shipments from China here are slow, like 2 months at least. So, you know, I'm just not to put pressure on you or anything like that, but just to give a time expectancy of just to give you an expectation of when they'll be even ready to be available to install is at least 2 months from the day you said yes and I get money and I send money there.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns? And yeah, I mean, as far as like, we did solve one of the problems that the waterproof boxes had. So we repaired those, and going forward, you know, with the new system, which is we've addressed that issue. So we're hopefully that we're pretty sure that the product will last or be more consistent than it was before. But any other questions or any questions?
I just want to add to the conversation that this is more than what is currently budgeted in that line item for 2021. So that needs to be part of the conversation also.
Scott, what was that number again?
45, if 45,000 for, if that includes the tariffs, if they charge me the full 29% for the tariffs, if they don't, 41,000.
And how many poles?
104, and then 20 extra, you know, or the parts for 20 extra in case, you know, a failure or whatever.
What was in the budget for that? What do we currently have in the budget?
Let me see.
It's just over 34.
Yep.
And I think 34 was the original price, probably, is my guess.
Yeah, I think that's where that number came from.
Yeah, but you know, two things to be, okay, so one, costs, as you guys probably are aware, are increasing everywhere, mostly due to Corona. And then there's the tariffs, and then there's the fact that we have to take down everything first that's we've already put up, so that's extra labor for that. And then yeah, that's about it.
Can you send us a breakdown, Scott, of, you know, the taking down labor and then install labor and then the material costs, just
Yeah,
so
sure.
it makes it easier for us to understand?
Yeah, I'll send it to Cindy.
All right. Any further questions or discussion on that?
Not right now for me. I think that's something that requires further conversation between us.
Fair enough.
Yeah, can we just add it for the next agenda?
Yeah, we'll keep it. We'll keep it on for the next one. And somebody asked in the chat for a link to the agenda for when we don't have the screen share up. I'm just pasting that in the chat there for you. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm juggling between a whole lot of different tabs here at the moment. All right. The next item, which is also something Scott's involved with us on, is the mandalas. The decorations. We have worked with Scott on that in the past. And I know some of the discussion with that was that we wanted to just leave them up for as long as possible once they were put back out last fall. And it turns out that as long as possible is now. So we've elected to move forward with taking them down because some of them were in pretty rough shape. And also based on the discussion at last meeting about getting the street pole banners replaced, getting that work done also requires that the mandalas be out of the way because there was overlap on some of the poles. So just wanted to let everybody know that that is also happening or has already happened. I know, Scott, you had your team out last week, right?
Correct. Yeah, all the mandalas are down.
All right, thanks. That's all I've got on mandalas. Any questions on that?
That was a real shame. I kind of liked them.
I know.
Yeah, it's the way that they're constructed, the materials, it's not meant to be up year round. It's much more of a holiday season type thing. And they're just gonna take a licking if you keep them up all year round.
Seems more like a weekend type thing.
Well, I think they were up there for about, when did we put them up? October or earlier? Before Diwali, I think we got them up.
Yeah,
You got to come up with
falling
something
apart
better
early.
that we can have up longer and doesn't cost us as much money in labor.
Say
Be
that again,
creative.
Michelle?
Come up with something that's more permanent, maybe a metal piece or something that, you know, will be a one-time cost and we don't have to pay for takedown and put back up every year.
Okay.
Oops. Let's get our street banners going.
Those have been ordered. I have good news
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you on that. So we had budgeted, I think $4,300. Let me check for banners. But I went and drove the street. We took account of them and their locations and submitted the order to vendors to get those replaced. There was a total of, I think, 40 that were damaged or missing. So those should be coming in the next couple of weeks. I don't have a timeline yet for installation, but they have been sent off for production. So that will be coming. We are keeping the art the same. We didn't budget to develop new art, so they'll just be reprints of the art that we already had prepared. But be on the lookout for those later this spring. Next item was mandalas. Murals. I was really hoping that we'd have proposals back from the two artists for some of the walls that we identified. So I think at the last meeting, we had discussed potential mural walls. Urshad and I reached out to several of the property owners for the buildings that we had discussed. And we have a couple now. So the owner of Annapurna, that corner, Bhavesh Patel, he expressed an interest in hosting a mural on that sort of big rectangular wall along the north-south elevation of the building. And then the Uruswati, that corner, again, north-south elevation along a corner, so it's a really visible space. So we now have building owners that are on board and we have artists that are interested, but we don't have proposals back from them yet. So we've been in contact with Vermont Static, and also Thomas Melvin, which if you'll recall, I don't remember if it was Jay or Urshad that had presented portfolio selections from those folks back in, I think it was August or September that we reviewed, but we don't have any proposals specific to those two walls. So we've reached out to them about proposing, which Thomas Melvin's already said that he's gonna work on. We've provided him wall measurements. Ramon Static, his proposal generation, his procedure is that he charges up front for concept development. So there's a $700 cost for that, which we haven't decided to undertake yet with him. I wanted to bring that back to this group. If there's any questions or discussions, if we want to, take that on. We do have a budget this year of $15,000 for public art. And based on the prior discussion, it was that there was a lot of interest in doing some murals. So we've identified a couple of buildings, and we have, $15,000 that can be split between however many buildings we want to include. And however many artists, if we want to have one do, one artist, one building, or one artist do multiple buildings, whichever. But we have been making some progress on the mural front.
Yay.
Just out of curiosity, Cindy, I have a friend who's a muralist. He's really good. Is that open? Is that an open application, or you have like your people that you know and that's it?
So it depends ultimately on how the commissioners, prefer to proceed. We could do an open request for proposals if that's something that commissioners would prefer to do. We've done it both ways with different SSAs. So I reached out initially to Static and to Thomas Melvin because I think someone else among the commissioners had reached out to them initially about putting some proposals together for some other walls. We weren't able to make it happen last year because of coronavirus. So we just sort of wanted to pick that back up. But I personally, I would welcome, additional proposals from artists if there's other folks that are interested in have the experience and background.
Right.
And definitely if anyone knows of any, specifically any South Asian artists that have the experience and would be willing to work with us, I think that would be a really cool opportunity.
The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you his info.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
We have some youth artists too that replied to a call for muralists outside of
All-American
Sandy.
medical supply.
Sandy, you want to intervene here?
Yeah, Hallie, I'm sorry. The conversation is only for commissioners. So
Oh, is Scott a commissioner? Because Scott just asked a question about his friend who's a muralist.
He's making a presentation to us. So if you have any comments, you can send them to me via email if you'd like, or in the chat.
Can you leave your email?
Sure. I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
All right, banners we sort of already covered. So that's done. Pigeon abatement, sort of the next, topic that's sort of been hanging out on the agenda for the last couple of months. I did get an additional quote, this time from Smithereen. So the difficulty that I've been having sort of with the pigeon exclusion issue has been that the different exterminators have been proposing pretty different scopes of work as to their recommendations of how best to address the pigeon issue at some of our problem corners. So the proposal that I have from Smithereen right now it starts at $7,700 and primarily includes just pigeon exclusion. So that basically is spikes and electrical shock tracks, rather than the proposal that we had before, which was Rose Pest Management, and their proposal was just for bait. So just monthly application of bait at 3 different locations throughout the district at a cost of about $300 per month. So it adds up to about $2,000 for the year if we were to do that for 8 months. For pigeons, I don't know if folks want to seek additional exterminator quotes or have any thoughts as to how we want to proceed as a district on the pigeon issue. Because I know it's something that we've been sort of talking about, I think, since the summer.
Cindy, can you repeat those prices again, please?
Yeah, so for the Smithereen quote, which was the $7,700, $7,780, and is primarily roof spikes. So the locations that he quoted it calls for installation of the anti-pigeon spikes on 12 of the balconies where buildings were really getting damaged by the pigeon excrement. And an additional $1,300 for spikes for windows on some of those buildings, and $1,680 for spike installation on the roof. And the labor involved in installing the product. So procurement and installation.
And that was for the whole area?
That was just for the one building at, I always forget what this cross street is. Let me find it.
Next to Coltove.
Yes,
right?
thank you.
Next
So
to,
it's Coltove.
West of Coltove, where they have all the balconies there.
Yeah, it's Coltove, It's You, and a tax office, I believe. And I think there's a bakery in that building as well. So it's that block that he quoted where we were able to get roof access to get him in. And that was included in the locations for the bait application from Rose as well. But that has to be done every month versus the spikes you just do once.
Yeah, that's much. If we add the whole district in, that's going to be a lot of money.
Right. I mean, and we decided to get quotes just to sort of guide that discussion, because initially we had been discussing adding it as a district, to do district-wide pigeon abatement, which is, I think, probably easier to do with bait application than the physical pigeon exclusion barriers. But I think the concern with bait application is, the fact that it's got to be an ongoing thing that requires roof access every month for the affected buildings. And, baiting one building, it's not really a guarantee that the pigeons aren't going to just go to the building that you're not baiting, right? So like we do our 3 buildings that are spread out, does that, it's great for those buildings, but is it really going to get rid of the pigeons for good versus, maybe if we do pigeon exclusion, maybe that's a 50-50 match like we do for facade improvements or something else. Because I'd asked around at the SSA managers meetups that we have, and Karen, I think I'd asked you this too, if any other districts are doing pigeon abatement, and I don't think that we had anyone else that had a program that we could copy. So we'd be the first one doing it. But I do think that there is a need because it's something that we've been getting complaints on from businesses and from residents and visitors. So it's, I think, an important thing to address as we're trying to bring customers back to the businesses.
I have a couple exterminator contracts. I'll reach out and see if anybody else has got any ideas that might be more budget friendly and that'll work throughout the district.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, we recognize that it's an issue. So I'll forward you, Pete. I'll send you the quotes that I've got, and so that you can get a sense of what the scopes of work are that they're recommending. Because I'm kind of trying to feel my way through this. So since I don't really have anything I can really copy off of another group. Next item, I left a discussion item on here for any continued discussion that we wanted to have about planning for social media. Go ahead. We should start to see the Meet the Business videos starting to trickle out this week. We've started to get the footage back from Brad at Big Buzz, who's been doing that in place of the Devon's Got Talent contract. So we're going to be starting to deploy that content in the next couple of weeks, and it'll be going until I think July, we said. So really excited about that. I think this week we've got Annapurna as the featured business. So if you're not already following the On Devon social media accounts, definitely check those out. And I think that's everything that was on the regular agenda. Arshad, you had said that there was some tree issues that you wanted to bring up.
Yes, Pavish asked me from Annapurna that there's a tree and a grade issue behind him. I guess the tree is having health issues occurring to him, and then the grate is falling apart. So Marlene referred him to the SSA and said we're handling grates and some sort of bait for the rats. So he's having a big issue with it, and he would prefer, obviously, the tree to be removed. So I don't know if we have anything to do with that.
When you say behind
him, the maintenance.
When you say behind him or on the side?
On the side, sorry.
Yeah, if it's a parkway tree, that's we have a contact at CDOT. So if, and especially I'll reach out to Bhavesh and see if he's got any pictures or anything. I can call our CDOT contact and see about getting it. So we think is it dead or leaning? What's happening with the tree?
He didn't give me details. He just sent me a forward saying from Marlene saying we sent the concern to the SSA last year. The SSA would oversee this type of project. You probably should follow up with the SSA. So he just called me to say, hey, find out if there's anything we can do about it.
I'll reach out.
I know he said the grade and the upkeep was a big issue, but it seems like he just doesn't want the tree there anymore either.
Hi, it's the alderman. I'm sorry, I was on a phone conversation, but I want to look up what Bhavesh sent. So if you just give me a minute, I can try to find it, okay?
And Urshad, can you forward us his email?
Yeah, I hadn't seen anything from him about trees.
I haven't either. And that's usually
I have a text. I'll try to put it in an email.
Okay, it's usually the Department of Forestry, which the grates is us, the removal of the trees is not.
Well, I know he has an issue. I think he doesn't have a grate, or the grate's not in good shape, and then the rat issue underneath the grate.
Yeah, and that's a CDOT streets and sand thing. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah.
Jeff.
Yes, Jeff Brink at CDOT is the tree guy.
So Earshot, I'm gonna speak with Marlene. It looks like he's got a rat problem. Again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating what you said before. And he wants a tree removal and he wants to fill in that spot with concrete. So let me reach back out and talk to Marlene and I'll get back to either you or to Babish.
Thank you, Alderman.
All right, I mean, that's the end of the agenda. Any other questions, comments, or discussion items from commissioners before we adjourn?
I'm not offhand.
Pete, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure, why not? I motion to adjourn.
I second.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, thanks, everybody. All right.
Information for where to send the proposal.
Yeah, I thought I had put my email in the chat. Hang on just a second.
It is in the, yours is.
I just put mine in.
Sandy's is in the chat.
Yeah, I just put
Oh,
mine in.
sorry. Ignore that one. I just did the wrong thing.
Okay, so it goes to Sandy or Cindy?
You could send it to
Send
Sandy.
it to both.
Send it to both? Okay, and then how do we see previous proposals?
So I don't have, they're typically not posted because we typically only post agendas and minutes as required by the city. I mean, I think you might be able to, Sandy, do you have anything for that? Or, because part of it was from Westridge Chamber.
I mean, I can look. I don't know. I'd have to get back and look through my stuff.
Okay, so I'll just put a reminder for that in the.
Well, and you have your proposal all ready to go, right? So if you could just send that to me, that would be great.
Yeah, happy to take a look at that and put it on the agenda for May.
Yeah, we have what we read today,
Okay,
but if we can strengthen the proposal, we will. So we'd like to see previous ones that were approved.
Did you guys? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we did
already.
Okay.
We're adjourned.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're adjourned.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay.
We'll see you. Well, some of us will. I won't see you Wednesday because I'll be at another meeting. But
No worries. Don't worry about that. I'll chat with all of you all before Wednesday.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
All right. Thank you.
And is there a place where the rules are posted too, so we can read up ahead of time? I didn't see because I didn't see anything
in the
about
request to the emails in the chat.
Okay, make a
We gotta
request.
let the commissioners adjourn.
For the rules. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Okay.